This program is brought to you in part by CIE Tours International. For over 80 years featuring all-inclusive tours and go-as-you-please value vacations throughout Ireland and Britain. CIEtours.com. And by Tourism Ireland, celebrating a special year in Ireland, The Gathering 2013. A year-long countrywide celebration of music, food, culture, and unique events. Ireland.com. And by...
Today you'll find the Irish Americans where the need is greatest, giving time, money, talent, and concern to whomever needs it most, contributing as only the Irish can to the spirit of America. Mutual of America, your retirement company.
Hello and welcome. I'm Patricia O'Reilly and I'm delighted you could join us for another edition of Out of Ireland. Coming up on this week's programme. The annual Catskills Irish Arts Week, the largest gathering of its kind here in the US, which this year will take place from July 15th to the 20th. But first, for a roundup of the week's news from Ireland, over to RTE, Ireland's national broadcasting service. The HSE's clinical review of the death of Savita Halappanavar in Galway University Hospital has found there was a lack of recognition of the gravity of the situation and the increasing risk to her life. The review says this led to passive approaches and delays in aggressive treatment.
It's 8 months since the death of 31-year-old Savita Halappanavar at Galway University Hospital. Today, the HSE published its long-awaited 108-page clinical review into the case. It says staff failed to recognise the gravity of the situation and the increasing risk to the life of Ms Halappanavar. The review said there was inadequate assessment and monitoring of her condition. This led to a passive approach and delays in aggressive treatment. The hospital's own guidelines on sepsis care were not followed.
The treatment might have been different, and it may be possible that she would be alive if the treatment might have been different.
The report says that when the couple asked for a medically induced termination on October 23rd, given a miscarriage was inevitable, they were told it was not possible under law. Consultant obstetrician Dr. Catherine Asprey told the HSE review, "Under Irish law, if there is no evidence of risk to the life of the mother, our hands are tied so long as there's a fetal heart." The report makes a series of recommendations, including an early warning system to spot patients who are deteriorating, mandatory training for staff to recognise and treat sepsis, and immediate support for the psychological impact of miscarriage. On the 6-1 News, Professor Arul Kumaran welcomed the government's proposed abortion legislation, but had this concern about the lack of a definition of a real and substantial risk.
In this case, or in certain medical conditions like severe heart disease, sepsis, the time interval where the patient is ill to the condition when they get into what we call a substantial risk can be so short. She might die, or chance of dying is much greater. So therefore, we should really identify an earlier stage where we should be able to intervene.
The Minister for Health said he had serious concerns about what today's report revealed and has referred it to the Medical Council and to the Nursing and Midwifery Board. Fergal Bowers, RTE News.
More than 20 years after the Supreme Court judgment in the X case, the government is this evening poised to publish legislation to give effect to that landmark ruling. The Protection of Life During Pregnancy Bill was approved by the Cabinet today. Earlier in the Dáil, the Taoiseach Enda Kenny rejected criticism of his proposals to legislate for limited abortion, saying he was a Taoiseach who happened to be Catholic but not a Catholic Taoiseach.
It took the death of a young Indian woman in a Galway hospital to galvanise the political system here into dealing with an issue that had been quietly shelved for 2 decades. Suddenly, a pledge from Health Minister James Riley to legislate in the area shot up the political agenda. After months of often heated debate, the Taoiseach and his ministers crossed a Rubicon today, approving a measure which would legislate for abortion to save the life of the mother.
Discussions are very constructive and very, very coherent and in keeping with the objective of the government here. Okay.
As expected, the bill will provide for 1 doctor signing off on terminations in the case of a medical emergency, 2 doctors when a woman faces a physical threat to her life, and 3 in the case of so-called suicidal ideation. The legislation passed Cabinet hours after exchanges in the Dáil illustrated just how divisive the abortion issue remains.
Do you understand why a growing number of people, Taoiseach, simply do not believe you when you repeat your claim that this bill is pro-life? Nothing could be further from the truth.
I am now being branded by personnel around the country as being a murderer, that I'm going to have on my soul the death of 20 million babies. I'm getting medals, scapulars, plastic fetuses, letters written in blood.
And a spontaneous ovation from government and opposition alike greeted his declaration that no group could dictate how the government legislated.
I am proud to stand here as a public representative, as a Taoiseach who happens to be a Catholic, but not a Catholic Taoiseach. I'm a Taoiseach for all of the people. That's my job while I have it.
That completes
that applause likely to give way to close questioning as the bill makes its way through the Dáil and Shannon next month.
A pro-life protest outside Leinster House today. Changes have not satisfied those vehemently opposed to the bill.
It does allow abortion, as we understand it, with no time limits, where a woman says she's suicidal, in circumstances where the weight of psychiatric evidence is that abortion is not a treatment for suicidality.
Others maintain the bill remains extremely restrictive and lacks detail.
How that risk to life is to be assessed, what guidelines are to be used, that's not indicated anywhere in the bill, and it is, to our mind, a very serious omission.
The National Women's Council has criticised what it says is the strengthening of the conscientious objection clause. It says that there should be an explicit duty to treat a patient in a medical emergency, and the Council also objects to the retention of the 14-year prison sentence. However, one former master of the National Maternity Hospital points out that criminalisation has been relaxed.
The decriminalisation, if you like, of the fact that a woman who had a termination which she doesn't realise might have been illegal, I think is a very healthy thing. I think it was wrong to criminalise a woman.
The Catholic bishops will hold a special meeting to consider the revised legislation, although their opposition is well known. They have also urged people to lobby public representatives in a respectful way. Sandra Hurley, RTE News.
Next to County Waterford, where the community in Passage East is still trying to come to terms with yesterday's fishing tragedy in which 3 brothers lost their lives. Paul, Shane and Kenny Bulger are believed to have died from hypothermia after their small lobster fishing boat sank in Tramore Bay.
From left, 44-year-old father of 2, Shane, father of 1, Paul, aged 49, and Kenny, aged 47. 3 brothers, experienced fishermen, their lives taken by the sea. Their home village of Passage East in mourning. Those who knew the men have nothing but fond memories.
Good lads, honest, reliable, trustworthy lads. It is very sad.
The idea that 3 brothers have been taken in one tragedy.
It's just beggars belief. It is even hard to take it in.
3 of the most experienced fishermen that you could ever come across in your life. As out of 100, you'd be grading them 95 to 100. If your child was starting to fish, you'd say, yes, go with them. Everything in that boat was 100%.
An awful tragedy happened to the village. 3 young men, very experienced fishermen, I must say that, to lose their lives. I don't think we'll ever get over this one day,
Coast Guard volunteers continue to search for wreckage from the 19-foot boat, the Dean Leanne, in Tramore Bay. The boat seen here with some of the brothers on board. It capsized and sank sometime yesterday. The men may have been in the water for a few hours afterwards. They were all wearing life jackets. A book of condolences has been opened in the local community centre. The funerals of Paul, Shane and Kenny Bulger are expected to take place on Saturday. And the funeral mass in Crook Church on Saturday morning for the three brothers is expected to attract huge crowds. Damien Tiernan, RT News, Passage East.
Final preparations are underway to mark the 50th anniversary of John F. Kennedy's visit to Ireland. A new visitor centre will be opened in Dunganstown in County Wexford on Saturday week as part of a weekend of events commemorating the visit.
Of Irish blood. John F. Kennedy described his trip to Ireland 50 years ago this month as the best 4 days of his life. In particular, his visit to his ancestral home in Dunganstown in County Wexford for tea, cake and chat. A big day of commemorations is planned for June the 22nd here and in nearby New Ross. The finishing touches are being put on a new €1.5 million visitor centre at Dunganstown.
As usual, there's a lot going on here as we approach the big day on the 22nd. But we're getting there. It's going to look fantastic. It's going to make a huge contribution to the local economy and indeed to the memory of Kennedy in this, the 50th anniversary.
Farmer, homestead curator and third cousin of JFK, Patrick Grennan, is delighted with how things are working out.
It's better for us as a family to live in a purpose-built visitor centre, because if it isn't a purpose-built visitor centre, we have people wandering around our home and there's no control. Now we have a lot of control and I think we'll have a better lifestyle on our own property.
So it definitely will work.
Yeah, it'll be very beneficial, yeah.
The government says highlighting the visit 50 years ago of the US President is important.
The fact that the President was here for 4 days in this country and the visit had such an impression on him and on his administration, I think left an abiding memory for people. So it's right that we should commemorate it.
The Office of Public Works believes it has successfully combined the heritage of the old homestead with the attraction of a new visitor centre. Thousands of people are expected here and in New Ross on Saturday. As well as the money here, around €5 million has been invested in refurbishments of the quayside over the past year and improvements to the Dunbrody Famine Ship visitor experience. Everything is nearly ready for Saturday. Damien Tiernan, RT News, New Ross.
After 40 years in storage, a pistol which belonged to Lord Mountbatten has been handed over to the British ambassador. The gun, which was in the possession of the Irish Defence Forces, will be given to his family, who was unaware of its existence before now.
August the 27th, 1979, an IRA bomb attack on a boat in Mullaghmore in County Sligo claims 4 lives, including its target, Lord Mountbatten, who was a cousin of the Queen's. It was a critical moment in the Troubles. 34 years on and a small but historical exchange. The Garda Commissioner has handed back a pistol belonging to Lord Mountbatten to the British ambassador. It seems for 40 years, it's been in storage.
In the early 70s, the law changed in relation to possession of firearms. Certain weapons of a certain calibre and hand weapons were not allowed, and it would have been handed in at that time, and it would have been brought to Custom Barracks Athlone, where it would have been stored over the years.
The gun, which is serviceable, is personally engraved, and its documents are intact.
I've been in correspondence with the eldest daughter of the late Lord Mountbatten. And her view is that, first of all, she didn't know about the pistol, so it was a surprise to her. She thought that was a very nice gesture.
But why the 40-year delay?
I mean, why it took so long, I can't answer that, but all I can say is, I suppose, that gun, it has been located and it's gone back to its rightful owners. I suppose it's not the first thing that maybe that was lost in this country.
There's no diplomatic issue about that at all.
As for the pistol, it's now making its way from the British ambassador's residence to a family museum. Martina Fitzgerald, RT News.
Finally tonight, a special musical performance using James Joyce's guitar was held in the Martello Tower in Sandycove tonight. It was the first time the restored instrument was used in this setting, which was featured in Ulysses.
A special event on a spectacular evening in Dublin, in a location steeped in Joycean tradition.
He obviously wasn't a professional guitarist, so I suspect he used it mostly to accompany himself.
The guitar dates back to 1830 and was given to Joyce as a gift.
The idea arose from the guitar. I mean, there's no point in restoring a guitar and not using it, because the guitar needs to be played, it needs to, maintain its vibrancy. So it's a chance for, I suppose, people, fans of Joyce, to hear the instrument that Joyce himself played and to hear some of the songs that he himself used.
This song, Shula Rún, also featured in Ulysses.
It occurs in the episode towards the end of the book where Leopold Bloom and Stephen, they exchange songs, and Stephen sings this one, an ancient Irish melody, and Bloom sings one of Hebraic or Hebrew origin, a Jewish song.
It's a small instrument, it's a smaller sound than the modern guitar, but it's a very sweet sound. It's a little difficult to get in tune at the moment because I had to change 2 strings, they weren't quite right.
Recitals take place every night until Sunday. Sandra Hurley, RTE News.
The news from Ireland was, as usual, brought to you by RTE, Ireland's national broadcasting service. And now, for anyone who wants to learn, experience or participate in Irish music, song and dance, the place to be next month is at the Catskills Irish Arts Week, which this year will take place from July 15th to the 20th. 130 miles north of New York City, along Route 145, is the small hamlet of East Durham, surrounded by lush green landscapes. Known as the Irish Catskills, the area has been attracting Irish visitors and settlers for generations. Evidence of their presence can be seen everywhere, from the numerous businesses to the cultural centre, museum and the extensive playing fields for Gaelic games.
Back in the 40s and 50s, a lot of the Irish that came to New York to work weren't able to get back home as easily as you can today, and this reminded them the most of home. The rolling mountains and the country atmosphere reminded them of their own villages at home. So they came up and they vacationed to start. Since that time, more people have moved here on a full-time basis, and the population, especially the Irish population, has really grown. You've seen a lot of new businesses spring up. The Shamrock House itself was established in 1938 by the Kelleher family. The Irish Arts Week is our busiest week. We do have many other events, though, with the Memorial Day Irish Festival. We have Céilís, we have Feshes, we have other Irish festivals at the end of the season. We like to think of ourselves as a little bit of Ireland in the Northern Catskills.
So let's try from this time. 3, 4.
This generally quiet area is transformed each year by the Catskills Irish Arts Week, an annual Irish summer school for all ages, from children to seniors. All eager to immerse themselves for 7 days in Irish music, dance and culture.
We started the Catskills Irish Arts Week in 1995 to create a summer school here that would bring people back to East Durham, a haven for Irish Americans for decades. So we created this 1-week school, and we brought 65 students here the first year. And it's been building every year since. We have the largest summer school devoted to traditional Irish music in North America. We have 120 classes every day, all kinds of instruments, including concertina, flute and fiddle, harp, and a number of other instruments to satisfy every taste and ability and level. One of the great features of the week here is that it's a multi-generational week. So what you can have is you can have grandparents taking classes alongside their grandchildren and experiencing it in a family environment, which is the way the tradition gets passed down in many places in Ireland. We have a wide variety of teachers, many from Ireland, who come over here. So there's a real dialogue, an active dialogue going on between the two countries through the summer school. And it's something that is one of our strong points.
I come from County Cork.
This is my 8th year coming to the Catskills Irish Arts Week to teach fiddle. I do 2 classes. I do an advanced class in the morning and I do the Sliabh local repertoire in the afternoon. I thought it was a wonderful festival and it has gone from success to success every year, and I look forward to coming back. There's no doubt that it's the premier event of its kind on this side of the Atlantic, and those of us from Ireland think of this as being, I suppose, the equivalent to what we have in Ireland of the Willie Clancy Week. We have the Willie Clancy Week in Ireland and we have the Catskills Irish Arts Week as the premier teaching weeks.
I've been coming up from Long Island most of my life in the summer. I've vacationed up here in East Durham with my family, and my son Brian was born in 2000, and we got him involved coming to Irish Arts Week right from the beginning. We listened to the concerts every night when he was a baby, and he joined the children's program when he was 5. Now he's playing the tin whistle, the concertina, the flute, you name it, he's got his hands on it, and he just loves it.
I like going to all the classes, the tin whistle in the morning with Mary Bergen, and concertina in the afternoon with Kathleen. And the sessions I really think are good too. So.
What do you do at the sessions?
Just play music like there's no tomorrow, pretty much.
The wide range of classes and quality of instruction is what sets the Catskills Arts Week apart from other Irish festivals. But it's not just about learning. The evening entertainment is also a major attraction. Evening concerts were held offering the best of traditional Irish music and dance, and nightly music sessions and céilís were organised at various venues.
Besides the educational component, there's a great entertainment value to this as well, because all the students, as part of their tuition, get to enjoy great concerts every night in an open-air environment in one of the festival pavilions owned by the Michael J. Quill Center. And every night for 2 hours, we showcase some of the faculty each night and put as many acts on there as we can before everybody then heads off into town to one of the roadhouses for sessions that go on all night. One of the other great features, aspects of this week is dancing, and we bring over teachers from Ireland for both set dancing and for sean-nós dancing, old-style step dancing, and it just recreates that feel of the country house dance, where you have wonderful timber floors. In a céilí scene, this is where people come together with friends they haven't met and also they have met. So it's an opportunity to learn some of the dances and learn more about the people you're dancing with. And it's a great chance to meet people here. It's a real crossroads. It's really a country crossroads here. We're talking about the dancing scene and the music scene.
It's not surprising that visitors to the Arts Week return year after year. Parents, children, singles, grandparents, accomplished musicians and dancers, or mere beginners, all merge comfortably here, united by their common love for Irish culture.
I've been coming here for the last 10 years and I've taken many classes. They offer a lot of classes. I've taken stone carving, I've taken tin whistle, and we just took a class today on making the St. Bridget's cross with natural rushes from around here, not from Ireland, but it's been a great class.
So you enjoy this?
Oh, I love it. I come back every year, and the music is wonderful. There's sessions everywhere in the evening. They offer different lectures after the classes. There's morning classes, afternoon classes, and there's just a lot going on.
I'm just taking one class, Bow Run class, but the musicians are great. The sessions that go on in the evenings all over are terrific, and all the people that I've met have been so friendly and so helpful. I went to a céilí, which I've never done, and the people were so helpful in teaching me how to dance. It's just been a good experience so far, so I will probably be back. It's been great.
The Catskills have been rediscovered, I think, in many ways through the Catskills Irish Arts Week, because there was a great history here for years with music and dancing and everything, but it wasn't a story that was very well told. People came in and experienced it. When we came back with the Catskills Irish Arts Week, we were uncovering an awful lot of that history. And we could feel we were sitting in rooms, playing in rooms where if the walls could talk, you would be telling the story of Irish America.
Catskills Irish Arts Week. They're the largest gathering of its kind here in the US, which again will take place from July 15th to the 20th. Well, that's it for another week here on Out of Ireland, and don't forget to join us at the same time next week. But for now, from all of us here, I'm Patricia O'Reilly. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
This program is brought to you in part by CIE Tours International. For over 80 years featuring all-inclusive tours and go-as-you-please value vacations throughout Ireland and Britain. CIEtours.com. And by Tourism Ireland, celebrating a special year in Ireland, The Gathering 2013. A year-long countrywide celebration of music, food, culture, and unique events. Ireland.com. And by...
Today you'll find the Irish Americans where the need is greatest, giving time, money, talent, and concern to whomever needs it most, contributing as only the Irish can to the spirit of America. Mutual of America, your retirement company.